As Billie Jean King said, self-awareness is one of the most important things towards becoming a champion. Why is self-awareness so vitally important to our personal growth? And how can we utilize it? Does it really help us achieve our goals and become successful in our life? In this video, we're going to be talking about some simple ways that you can cultivate and increase your self-awareness in order to help recognize your strengths and weaknesses. Hi, I'm Dr. Asha Prasad. Thank you so much for joining me for this episode of the Prasad Principles. So what is self-awareness? We hear a lot about self-awareness, but what exactly is it? It is something that we sometimes can practice unknowingly, but self-awareness is really about monitoring our emotions and our reactions to our emotions and monitoring exactly how we behave. So there are certain patterns that we learn along the way that get registered into our subconscious mind that actually are just there, they're saved, they're kind of like our hard drive of our brain, and we just react to triggers that come our way. Self-awareness actually helps us know what our emotions are and knowing what our responses are and being able to rewrite patterns, to recreate patterns. We have these patterns that are set up in our subconscious brain, and when those patterns are triggered by certain events, certain emotions, we tend to react a certain way. But what if we were to intercept, relearn exactly what our triggers are, get a handle on those, and be able to rewrite our reaction or our responses to things? This changes the game completely. Whether you're an entrepreneur, whether you're a leader, no matter in your personal relationships, no matter in what aspect of your life, this will be a game changer. You know, we deal with a lot of coping mechanisms that we develop very early on in childhood. These coping mechanisms help us survive, but they can also sometimes and very often actually interfere with us achieving our goals. So becoming aware of some of these automatic patterns or automatic go-tos, these reactions, we can actually rewrite the script. And that's where we can start to become more successful and reach our goals. So some of the skills that you will develop that are very useful for your relationships and interactions with other people, whether it's in business life or in your personal life, by increasing your self-awareness, are things such as empathy, for example, being more empathetic. And I will tell you, if you are a business owner, if you're an entrepreneur or a business owner, or even a manager that is watching this video right now or listening to me on my podcast, being empathetic is one of the most important things. Being able to stand in another person's shoes and be able to see things from their perspective is very important. It will help you be more compassionate and more understanding of exactly where someone else is coming from. It's also going to teach you to be more kind. It's going to give you more kindness, more flexibility to where you can adapt much easier to changing situations. I mean, life in general is ever changing, but also in our workplace and in our family relationships and our dynamics in our relationships, that is also changing. And we've got to be able to learn how to be more flexible. By increasing your self-awareness, we become more flexible and more adaptable. We increase our confidence and we become much more mindful and aware and being present in the moment. Now, it's not something that's going to happen overnight. Self-awareness is something that takes practice, just like any other exercise, any other skill that we are trying to cultivate. It's going to take some practice. There are a few ways that I'd like to share with you today, about 4 or 5 tips really to share with you on how you can start to increase your self-awareness. Now, it's important. It's not easy. It takes, take it one step at a time, but here are some ways that you can start improving your self-awareness. The first one, keeping an open mind. Now, a lot of times, sometimes we think that we are open-minded, but in fact, we're not. We're so rigid in our beliefs and in our thought patterns that we don't realize that we're not keeping an open mind of other possibilities or other ways of doing things or thinking about things. So being open and being able to learn how to regulate your own emotions with really looking at, okay, where can I open my mindset up here? Where can I start to look at other ways of thinking? Maybe you are part of a team and there are other people that are sharing their opinions and their input about how to handle a situation. How can you be open to it and be aware of your emotions that are coming? Because there might be a trigger there. but you can actually learn how to better deal with the situation by keeping an open mind. Being flexible in your way of thinking is very important, and that helps you in every aspect of your life, whether it's in your business life or career or in your professional life, personal life, and your relationships. Okay? So the other thing is being mindful of what your strengths and weaknesses are. I think that this is something that's very important for all of us, no matter what it is. Knowing when to ask for help, knowing what your strengths are, what you're really good at, and knowing what your weaknesses are, so that way you can ask for help from other people, and maybe delegate if you're in a business situation, or even with the family chores, being able to delegate to other people. Knowing what your weaknesses are and what your strengths are is going to be very important. Now, this takes time, and it takes a lot of honesty with yourself. You've got to be able to admit, because I know we all want to be good at everything, but that's just not the case. And we all have unique gifts and talents and strengths, and we also have weaknesses. And we've got to be able to face those head on and be able to ask for help and assistance. Okay? So that's very important. If you need any advice on exercises on how to do this, please do contact us at info@drashaprasad.com, and we will definitely be able to direct you into some practices and some things that you can be doing right here and now to help you with these. The next thing that I'd like to say is setting boundaries. This is very important for yourself, but also for other people. We teach other people how to treat us. So the fact of setting boundaries means knowing when to say no. There's a lot of things that we want to say yes to, but making sure that you're saying yes to the things that are in alignment with your core values and your beliefs, and being really authentic to yourself and learning when to say no. That means saying no to projects, saying no to maybe getting together with people, saying no whenever you need to set your boundaries, and being able to be aware of how that makes you feel. I know I had a client quite a few years ago that was really, really struggling with setting boundaries. And once we started implementing these exercises and these practices, she started getting more energy. She started feeling more vital. She was more creative. She was actually realizing that she was leaking out her energy so much by always saying yes to everything and never saying no. So setting boundaries is a very, very important one of becoming self-aware. You'll start to see how you respond and how you feel. Those emotions will be able, our emotions are a big indicator of how we're doing, okay? I had a question that came through about the difference between emotions and thoughts. This is a very good question. Thoughts are the things that we think of, and emotion is actually the meaning that we give to the words. The emotion is like anger, it's like sadness, it's grief, it's happiness, joy. Those are the emotions, and we viscerally feel them in our physical body. So remember the last time that you were really happy, you probably felt really light, you had a lot of energy, or last time that you were feeling really sad, you felt kind of down, you felt heavy in your body, maybe some tension in your shoulders, maybe some headaches or trouble sleeping. That is the difference between an emotion and a mental thought. So keep that in mind. That is really important. It's the meaning that we apply to that thought and to those words. Okay. The last thing that I would say, and this one is a big one, is consider how your actions really make others feel. We are responsible for how we respond and how we react out there in the world. Our behavior is it comes directly from us. And if we're not self-aware, we may be hurting people's feelings and being very brutal and being very hurtful to other people without even knowing. And I know sometimes we assume that people know it, but if somebody's not practicing self-awareness and does not realize that what they're doing and how they're acting or how they're speaking or the tone that they're using is really hurtful or really damaging, it can really damage a lot of relationships and a lot of good connections that you have. So, and it also is damaging to your own well-being and as a whole. So this is going to be something that I want to encourage you to practice in increasing your self-awareness, is how do your actions actually make others feel? And you can even ask for feedback if you want to. If you're completely not aware of this, ask for feedback, whatever it is, to be able to become more aware of this. So I hope that this was helpful today. Thank you so much for joining me. Be sure to subscribe to this YouTube channel or subscribe to the podcast if you're catching me on the podcast, on any of the podcast platforms, the Prasad Principles podcast. And I so look forward to talking to you next time. Thank you.